Pledge of Allegiance, which will be led by Russell Gould, our assistant principal from Parkway Middle School. Then we will have our national anthem, which will be sung by 13 chorus students from 10 of our local elementary schools who were selected by audition to represent us, to represent the district at the state conference for the Florida Music Education Association Elementary All-State Chorus and Ensemble, Orff Ensemble. Follow that, Mr. Fritz, Dr. Scott Fritz will read our mission statements, and our translation service will be offered by Nira Alvira. So if you will please silence your cell phones and stand with me while we begin with our invocation.
Let us pray. Father, we thank you for this time of gathering of these minds who are ready to make decisions for our community and for our students. We understand that you are sovereign above all things and that they need your wisdom and your insight. And so we pray for them that as they make the decisions for our community students and for this area, that your wisdom and your guidance will be with them, that you would cover this meeting with your presence, and that you would allow them to get the work done that needs to be done. We understand that only you, God, can guide us and keep us. So we pray, dear God, that you would be amongst these individuals as they forge ahead to do new things, to do great things for our community, to build it up, to strengthen it. We need you, oh God, for that. We are totally dependent upon you. And so right now, we honor you by speaking to you first before we begin anything else. It's in your hands, and so we trust you to guide us and to keep us in all that we do. Turn the hearts of your leaders towards you so that this community will become a beacon, a light of hope, a place where others will come to see what's happening, why they're doing so well. It's because God is leading. And so right now, God, we put everything in your hands and thank you in advance that your will be done, and give you honor and give you praise in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Reverend Jay. Mr. Gould.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed, and the twilight's last gleaming moves by stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched, were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets red glare, the bombs bursting in air, did prove to the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You can all be seated, Dr. Fritz.
It doesn't get any better.
Really?
Good evening. The mission for the School District of Osceola County, inspiring all learners to reach their highest potential as responsible, productive citizens.
Thank you, Dr. Fritz. I am Naira Alvira and I am here to provide Spanish interpretation services. Soy Naira Alvira y estoy aquí para brindar servicio de interpretación al español. Gracias.
Thank you, Naira. That brings us to comments from the board. And board, if you'll indulge me for just a second, I'm going to go first tonight.
Mr. Chairman, please. Please.
First off, I want to congratulate Mr. Weishaar and Mr. Soto for being reelected to the board. I think we're all very happy you're here. It's been an enjoyable 2 years on my part of you, and I look forward to 2 more with you, with your guidance. Just want to touch on the election just kind of briefly. The sales tax passed for the board, which is a great thing for our school district. It's a great thing for this community. It makes a statement to others around us how we view education in this community and the importance of it. So I'm very pleased with that. I'm thankful to our community. Thank you for the people who worked on our political action committee that got it passed and through, and people in the school district who pulled together the facts about what we could and couldn't do with it. So I think that's a great thing for our school district. Just one other comment kind of on the election. And I'm talking about not the election on Tuesday, but the election leading up to Tuesday. And I think, not speaking just for myself, but I think it was probably the most stressful presidential election I've ever been through. And I don't think that matters which side you're on, or who you wanted to win or who you didn't want to win. But there was a lot of hatred and a lot of things coming out in our country, which was very disconcerting to me over time. And continued for me for probably a day and a half after the election. But I just want to tell you something that I did on Thursday morning. I went to a Veterans Day celebration, and if you look at this screen up here, it's Lakeview Elementary, and where they honored a bunch of veterans. Most of them, I think, had ties to the school through other staff members or students that were in the school, and they introduced them all. And at the end, the very last thing they did was sang or played "I'm Proud to Be an American" by Lee Greenwood. And if you take these 500 kids, the picture's not very good because I took it, but when you have 500 kids standing there singing, waving a flag, you realize it doesn't matter what happens. There's a lot of great things in this country, and there's a lot of things to be proud about. And it really is. It changed my whole attitude, and it kind of lifted me up. And the people that were there, I think, probably felt the same way. So I had this picture put up because it really did change my attitude and change the way I felt about things. We live in a country where we can have a very bitter presidential election and then have a very peaceful exchange of power. Doesn't happen in very many places in the world. So I just wanted to share that a little bit with you. And with that, I will, Mr. Wheeler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think some of your comments were right on. I want to say, this board, first off, again, I'm going to echo some of what Mr. Thacker just said. Kelvin Soto, Tim Weishaar, I'm so glad you guys got reelected. I'm glad you're here. I've spent the last 4 years working with you. I got at least 2 more with you. I'm proud to serve with you. You're great assets. We've got a great leadership team here. And I'm saying this, and then we've also got, not to at all discount, Ricky Booth and Clarence Thacker are great school board members also. And I'm saying that because we did pass the half-penny sales tax. This is something that we have needed for a very long time, and we tried it once before, and it didn't pass. And then I served with some very toxic school board members, and there was a change in superintendents, like a revolving door, where the community was right to not trust this school board, and we've come so far so fast, and we have so many great things happening. We could have never gotten this passed the way we did without this leadership team. It just wouldn't happen. And it means so much for us because, for those of you who aren't aware, and maybe, you're thinking, oh, it's just another tax. What that does is it gets us to the point where our kids, who are what's important, are on a level playing field finally. If you look at Osceola County, we don't have oceanfront real estate. We don't have Gulf front real estate. Our property taxes can't keep up with the demands that we have to meet the needs of the kids in this community. This half-penny sales tax will generate $500 million over 20 years. I know the money's going to be used very judiciously, and it's going to be used to help our students. And there's no way, prior to this board being seated and us doing the work that we do, this community would have trusted the previous school board or school board members I served with. So I am very proud of what we've accomplished as a team and as a community, and I think everybody out there should expect great things from us, because we expect greatness from each other, from ourselves, and from Dr. Pace and her leadership team, who I've got to admit, it's a pleasure to work with people who can keep up and are one step ahead and can anticipate. Dr. Pace will, I'll call Dr. Pace on many occasions and bring something up, and she'll say, "Jay, stop, we're already doing it." And so that is a testament to just how good our people are, and it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, everybody who voted for the half-penny sales tax. It was badly needed. I know I've gone on way too long, but I want to just stress how important it is and how great it is for everybody. And with that, I yield the floor, Mr. Chair.
Well, just briefly, first of all, I really appreciate and enjoy seeing Mr. Wheeler so enthusiastic about, what we're doing here in this county. He really puts in a lot of effort, and a lot of himself personally. He's, personal sacrifices that I've seen him do over the years. So I appreciate that he is happy about what happened, but we all are excited about what the future holds for us moving forward. Clarence, thank you for sharing with us. I really enjoyed your comments, and I'm still thinking about them as I'm thinking about what to say. That was really, I just don't know what to say. We really need to be proud of what we have, of the future that's in front of us, and just work as hard as we can to get our children ready for the 21st century and continue to improve the education that we provide for them in this county. And I think that we're all going to do that. Thank you, Board.
Congratulations, Mr. Soto. Mr. Weishauer, it's been a pleasure to serve with you, and it's going to be an honor to continue to serve with you. So congratulations. I almost did what Clarence did, and I don't know if he wrote that or thought about it beforehand. I almost sat down and wrote something, actually started to write something about the kind of the current feeling in this nation. But I kept coming back to one thing, and it's actually good because it's really short for you all out here. I kept being drawn back to a single verse, one of my favorite verses in the Bible. It's the recorded words of Jesus by the Apostle Matthew in the 5th chapter. It says, "Blessed are the peacemakers, because they will be called the children of God." So before we write something on Facebook, before we say something to our neighbors or to our friends, let's think about being peacemakers. I think we've done a great job of that the last couple years up here on this dais, and I hope that can spread around our county, our community, and our country. So with that, I've said more than I really wanted to, but again, congratulations, you two. It's been an honor, so thank you.
Thank you. I guess after that I should close in prayer.
Did I sound like a preacher?
No, you did good. If you didn't say it, I might have, so that's good. Thank you, gentlemen, for your kind words, and as I expressed earlier, community, thank you for your ongoing support of my service on this board, and Mr. Soto, I'm very proud of your win, and I fully echo the comments that have been made across the dais tonight about the work that we've been able to do with one another. I do want to just make sure, I kind of said it quickly earlier, but I want to make sure that I thank Judge Epperson for taking time to be here as well. As you can imagine, he's busy, has a family, has plenty of other things that he can do, but he took time of his schedule to be a part of something that's important to me tonight, so I want to express thanks for that. Board, I just want to let you know, too, in community, two great things that I had the pleasure of being a part of this past week. Yesterday morning, I had the pleasure of speaking at Liberty High School to 377 honor roll students, and it was a great morning for me. It's always a great opportunity, I know, for each one of us when we get to speak before a group of students or to speak with some of our staff. But it was a great opportunity just to encourage those students to think about their life and remaining focused and dedicated in pursuing character and who they are and what they do. And very proud of those nearly 400 honor roll students at Liberty High School, and was grateful for the opportunity to be there. And then I don't know if I'm allowed to say exactly what we did today or not, or who we did it with, but okay. Can I say where?
Yes.
Okay. So I had the pleasure this morning with Dr. Pace and Dana Schaefer from Community Relations to go down and work with, meet with, and talk with our featured teacher and honor just another exceptional educator in Osceola County at Point Siena High School. And so this is a great initiative of this board and leadership team, is to make sure that we're very purposeful in reaching out to our educators across Osceola County and letting them know how much we appreciate them and the fact that their work does not go unnoticed. And so I know for each one of us, it's been an honor to be a part of those opportunities that we've had. And I'll tell you, for me, it was certainly a blessing and a joy for me to do that this morning. And so I guess we'll look forward to the official announcement of who, now that you know where. So I'll yield the floor, and I'm looking forward to a very efficient meeting this evening.
I like that. I like the last one.
And in the nature of efficiency, I will just say that I am honored to serve this board and serve this community, and very excited about the opportunities that we have with the passage of the sales tax. We welcome and appreciate the community support, but also are absolutely committed to making sure that we use every one of those dollars effectively and efficiently to bring our conditions up to the type of equitable learning conditions that are optimal for our teachers and for our students. So thank you.
Thank you. Appointments?
Yes, we do have some appointments this evening. First of all, we'll start with the new principal of our Celebration K-8 school. Miss Kim Mannion is here, if she'd come to the front. Throughout her career, Kim Mannion has held the following positions: teacher at Holy Redeemer Catholic School, teacher at Paths, literacy coach at Paths, IB coordinator at Celebration High, assistant principal at Point Siena High, and currently serves as the assistant principal at Celebration K-8. She received her bachelor's degree in elementary education from the University of Central Florida and a master's degree in educational leadership from the American College of Education. And she is our recommendation for the principalship at Celebration K-8, as she expressed her passion and her commitment to the Celebration community and her desire to really build on that K-12 feeder pattern that she's been a part of now for a number of years. So Kim Mannion, for your approval board.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Comments?
Wait a minute. I've got a quick question before you go. When, is that effective now, or?
I apologize. Thank you, Chairman Thacker. These moves will be effective January when we return from winter break.
That's part of my motion.
Okay, with your
Yeah, that's part of
motion,
my motion. Kim, what Dr. Pace left out is Kim wasn't just the IB coordinator at Celebration High School. She opened the IB at Celebration High School. You were the initial IB coordinator there. And you held a lot of kids' hands. I know you did. And I've known Kim. We've known each other a while. Let's just leave it at that. You're going to do a great job. I'm thrilled that you're coming to this position, and it's bittersweet because Michael's done such a great job, but I know that it's good for you, and I'm so happy that you're going to be taking this position. You're going to do a great job. We've already exchanged cell numbers, Dr. Pace, so if she needs to get a hold of me, she knows how. I know how to get a hold of her.
Sorry.
Yeah. You didn't have to do that.
It's not in the handbook.
So I'm thrilled, Kim. Look forward to working with you.
Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it.
Board, any other comments? And I'm sorry, you said it's effective the 3rd?
Yes, January 3rd, 2017.
I have a motion by Mr. Wheeler with a second by Mr. Soto for Kim Mannion to become principal of Celebration K-8 effective January 3rd. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none.
Congratulations.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Who's with you? Who's with you?
Congratulations, Kim.
And who's with you?
If there's people with you and you'd like to introduce them, please do so.
Lots of family and friends.
Good.
I want to say thank you to Dr. Pace and the district leadership team and school board members. I'm really excited to take on this position and continue partnering with the community of Celebration and the amazing staff and students and parents there. So thank you for your confidence.
Thank you.
Who's
Appreciate it.
stand-
Congratulations.
Have your entourage stand up.
Stand, people.
Board, also for your consideration tonight with an effective date of January the 3rd, 2017, would be our recommendation for Mr. Michael Ballone to become the principal at Horizon Middle School.
Motion to approve is submitted.
Second.
Throughout his career, Michael has
sorry.
held the following positions: teacher at Surfside Middle School in Panama City, teacher at Celebration High, assistant principal at Celebration K-8, and then the principal of Celebration K-8 currently. He received his bachelor's degree in social science education from Florida State University and a master's degree in educational leadership from Stetson University. And Mr. Ballone approached us about a potential transfer, not because he doesn't love the work that he's done at Celebration K-8, but because, like me, he also kind of likes that secondary appeal and wanted to try something different. So for your consideration, Mr. Michael Balone.
Got his motion in a second already.
Yeah, but
Do it again.
A motion to approve.
Second.
have a motion by Mr. Wheeler with a second by
Comment.
Mr. Weishauer.
Discussion.
Approve Michael Balone,
Discussion.
effective January 3rd.
Yes, discussion. I have got to see Michael Balone grow into his leadership role, and I know you're a good educational leader, Mike. You'll do great. Just, I'm going to say this publicly now to you, make time for your family. Michael is a dynamo, smart young man, very hardworking, got him involved with young business professionals, and I said, he's a principal, he can't come to a lot of meetings, but they love you, young business professionals, so I'm thrilled for you. It gets you closer to home, doesn't it? Okay, that's good, okay.
Just wanted to say thank you, Dr. Pace, for this opportunity in the school board. Jay, you can still text me even though I'm in a different zone. That's fine.
I know where to find you, Mike.
No, I'm excited to join the Horizon family, a school with so much rich traditions and culture, and so I'm just really honored for this opportunity, and thank you so much.
If you give us a second, we'll vote for you.
Okay. I'm so excited. I'm skipping steps. I'm sorry.
It's okay, it's all
I just
good.
want to make sure, you said, Jay, you can text me, is that actually?
That's okay. Tim, you can text me. That's okay.
Yeah. Be careful what
I'd
you
get
ask
rid of
for.
both those numbers or your cell phone if I were you.
Blessed are the peacemakers.
Board, any further comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries
Who's with
5-0.
you? Who's your-
5-0.
Actually-
Congratulations.
All right. Thank you. My wife's at home right now with my sick children, so I'm sorry. But
I'd like to just make, and Michelle, you've done a great job there. We understand your family concerns is why you're moving on. Thank you for what you've done with Osceola Schools, and we wish you well in all your endeavors.
Thank you.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Good luck to you.
And for those in the community who are wondering, what is the superintendent doing bringing forward recommendations that aren't effective until January the 3rd? Really, this is to allow for some really smooth transition time. Mrs. Henninger, a great principal at Horizon Middle, has announced her desire to explore some other opportunities after the winter break, and we wanted to make sure that we had a very smooth transition in all of these schools. So I have one final appointment to bring forward for your recommendation, and that would be Miss Hillary DeLuca. Hillary currently is an assistant principal at Kissimmee Elementary School, has grown tremendously in leadership under Mr. David Noyes and made a big difference there, but she has agreed to take on some additional responsibility as the assistant principal at Neptune Middle School. Throughout her career, Hillary DeLuca has held the following positions: primary instructor at the Developmental Disabilities Institute in Smithtown, New York, behavioral specialist at Denjon Middle School, dean of students at Denjon Middle, assistant principal at Denjon Middle, Narcoossee Elementary, and currently, as I mentioned, at Kissimmee Elementary. She received her bachelor's degree in psychology from State University of New York at Binghamton and a master's degree in educational leadership from Stetson University. Ms. DeLuca brings forth a great wealth of knowledge in the ESE world as well as in behavior. We think that's going to be a real asset to Neptune Middle School. And when I called her this morning, she says, "I'll go wherever you need me."
Motion to approve.
Second.
Have a motion by, this is effective now, right?
No, January 3rd.
Still January 3rd.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I have a motion by Mr. Booth with a second by Mr.
Discussion.
Wheeler for Hillary DeLuca to become AP at Neptune Middle School on January 3rd. Mr. Booth, you have a question?
Go Seahawks.
Any other comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Congratulations.
Do you want to introduce somebody?
Oh, I'm sorry, this is my husband.
That's it.
And my principal, Mr. Noyes, so.
That's right. Congratulations.
That's all for me, sir.
That's all. This brings us to our public comment portion of our meeting. I have one comment in front of me. Dee Stevens, if you'd like to come up. Dee, you know the rules, the 3 minutes, and
Good evening, Dee Stevens, 218 East Cedarwood Circle, Kissimmee, Florida. I'm here tonight, and with all due respect to the passing of the late Usher Brown, when I found that out and had no way of knowing that he was ill, I wanted to get the records in my conversations with him when I was a sitting board member, that he had storage. And I came to a meeting from a workshop a couple of months ago, or a month ago, and Mr. Michael Martyr of Greenspoon Water gave me his business card. So I followed up to call the firm. I've never gotten through, made repeated calls. I'm trying to obtain the records that Mr. Brown kept on me with a lot of indiscretion, bad things that he did that I had to fight off. I don't want to go into that. What I want is to get the records, and I know exactly what's in the box. So I called this firm, the current firm, and the previous firm. And they told me, I finally got through to somebody in the other firm, and they gave me an 800 number of a record company, which has been recently taken over by a new record company, and I called the 800 number. And, you know, based on privacy rules, I could not get through to the company. I have to have the customer ID, department ID, the box number, and the box is sitting in storage somewhere, and I would like to have the box and the address to where the records should go to. Now, unfortunately, Larry's not here. Can't speak to him, unfortunately. I didn't want to call anybody in his family. I had an old number from his home. It's disconnected. And I don't want to, I don't know his wives, and I don't know his children, his ex-wives. And I don't know Mr. Martyr. And in all fair, Mr. Martyr has a firm, and Mr. Brown had many changes in his firm. I'm not here to discuss that. I'm trying to retrieve the records and the box, and I'm asking for cooperation from Mr. Michael Martyr, who is your current school board attorney. Try to speak to him before the workshop started, and he says to me, no, you can't get the records. I've spoken with the Florida Bar. In fact, one of the investigators called me today. I don't wish to file a complaint. I want to settle this to get the records in a professional manner with a professional law firm that represents the school board here. Now, I am entitled to get the old records, which is probably an archive, but they are sitting in storage most likely. I have the information here. Were you willing to take this tonight, Mr. Martyr, and to follow up? I wish the direction of the board to follow up here and to ask him to please cooperate so I can retrieve my records.
That concludes. Thank you.
So what do I do with the information?
Just hold on to it for right now, or give it to Tanya, the clerk of the board.
And she'll follow up for me?
We will see what we do with it at that point.
Well, then
The time is up. So.
All right. If I can't get anything, then I'll take home the information. You want me to give it to her? I'll give it to her.
Yeah, give it to
Okay.
Tanya. That is the only comment from the public comment that I had. Hearing that, we'll close that portion. Brings us to agenda modifications. There is a piece on the agenda, I believe it's item 17 on Charter Schools USA. There's several of them here from a long distance. If based on the board's indulgence, I'll pull it up right after we do the consent agenda, if that's okay.
Sure.
Any other changes, additions to the agenda?
Yes, sir.
No, Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda and consent agenda.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Booth, a second by Mr. Wheeler to approve the changes submitted in the consent agenda. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. I know the next item on the is the informational agenda, but if we could, we'll do the charter school now.
That's fine, absolutely.
Dr. Bass?
That's fine.
Okay.
Yes.
This is,
Dr. Esposito is here to introduce our friends from
Okay.
Charter Schools USA.
okay.
Yes. Good evening, Superintendent, board members. Today, we're going to have Charter Schools USA, who is going to present to you the School Improvement Plans initiative of 4 of their charter schools: Commerce High, Canoe Creek, PM Wells, and Renaissance at Tapestry. You have the presentation with you, and at this time, I will ask the representative from Charter Schools USA to come forward.
Oh, was that this? Okay.
Thank you, Dr. Esposito. Good evening. My name is Rachel Windler-Freitag, and I'm the Vice President of Education with Charter Schools USA. If you turn to the second page in your binder, you can see the list of other representatives that we have here with us this evening from Charter Schools USA as well as from the schools. If you go 2 pages later, and I apologize that these are not paginated for you. What I'd like to do is to start by providing with you an overview.
Page says network support.
Network support, yes, thank you. I would like to provide you with an overview of some of the support that Charter Schools USA is providing to our schools in Osceola, given the recent school grades that have come out. One of the things that we have done at the network level is provide a task force. This ASAP task force is working solely with our schools that we need to provide some additional resources to. The schools have been going through a needs assessment, and through that needs assessment, we're identifying what additional resources might need to be allocated to the schools. Might be personnel, might be financial resources, might be technology, or instructional materials. So as the team is working with each individual school, what those resources look like is very individualized, and the principals will go through some of those details with you through their strategic plans. We've also expanded our team. We did this back in June to add a senior manager of high school programming. That person is, she works specifically out of Osceola County and in this region in Central Florida, but she does support all of our high schools. However, she is targeting a lot of her support to our Four Corners Upper School. Yes.
How many total students does Charter Schools USA have in all of their schools in Osceola? Do we know what that number is?
Don't know specifically.
5,000, 10,000, 2,000?
Probably around 5,000.
Okay. It's a lot of kids.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes. If you turn to the next page, CSUSA Best Practices. This is an overview of all of the best practices that are in all of our schools. So these are not specific initiatives that are at the schools based on their strategic plan. They might have increased the resources this year, but these are just the initial expectations that we do have at all of the schools. The first two are the common monthly assessments and the instructional focus calendars. The instructional focus calendars are the opportunities for the teachers to reteach the grade level standards based on the results from those CMA assessments. Those are targeted for each individual student in each individual class. Tutoring is also one of the expectations that we do have at all of our schools. One of the differences this year is that all of the schools did start much earlier in the school year. We have tutoring before school, after school, during the school day when appropriate, as well as Saturday school, winter break, and spring break.
Question.
Yes.
When a student enrolls in your schools, at least in Osceola County, maybe another place, maybe it's a company-wide policy, unlike a traditional public school, there's some things that charter schools can do that we can't do. For instance, when a parent comes in to enroll their son or daughter or their children, is there some sort of a contract given to them in terms of what's expected from the student, what's expected from the parents, and that they have to sign off on it relative to doing work, attitude, volunteer hours? I don't know the criteria you have, but is there something like that?
Yes, the parent handbook is provided at the beginning of every school year, and there is a page in there for the parents to sign.
And who goes over that with the parent?
It is typically emailed to the parents. If for brand new parents that are coming to the school, it's usually done through an information session with the enrollment manager, through the principal. Each school does it a little bit differently.
Okay, so it's not standard for a principal to do that automatically with new parents?
No, it's not standard.
Okay, thank you. What are some of the criteria in there that would be unique relative, you think, for student success?
Parent volunteer hours is part of the parent handbook.
What's the requirement, 20 hours a year?
20 hours for one child, 30 hours maximum for a family.
And is there, if they don't do the 20 hours, can they, instead of doing the 20 hours, can they donate $500 to school or something in lieu of that? Is there an option?
Nothing like that is in written, no.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. In addition to the tutoring that we discussed, every student does have a personalized learning plan. Again, those did start earlier this year with last year's data. We also conduct data chats. That is, we have many levels of data chats. There are data chats between school leadership and with the teachers, and then there's teacher and student data chats, and then the students are also conducting data chats with parents through their PLPs. In addition, yes?
How are the student data chats with parents monitored?
Each building has their own program that they do that. Sometimes it's during the day, sometimes it's during evening parent-teacher conferences.
So the parents actually come in for this?
Yeah, that is the goal.
Okay, because you said the students were doing it with
Correct. The students will sit with the parents and the teacher, and we're a part of the conferences. Correct.
Okay, you didn't say that. Okay.
I apologize, yes. And then RTI and MTSS, those are requirements, but that is something that we did provide additional training and support to our school leaders this year. Our principals were trained, our assistant principals were trained, and then our curriculum specialists were also trained to help provide additional support to the schools in this area. If we turn to the next page, this is just an example of some of the resources that our schools use. This was a study that our data analysis team conducted last year where we analyzed the data for our students who were utilizing blended learning programs with Fidelity and how those students performed on our NWA assessment as well as last year's FSA. As you can see from both of these graphs, we did identify that the students who were using the programs effectively or those super users were being used with Fidelity and it was monitored. We did see an increased percentage of students meeting their growth targets for their NWA, as well as higher proficiency results on FSA for students who were using these blended learning programs.
So are you going to continue to use NWEA?
Correct.
And you think it correlates with FSA?
NWA is used to target individual student assessment, student instruction, so that is more of what targets the small group instruction and the scaffolded instruction. The CMAs is what's used to target the grade level standards instruction.
So the CMA is used as a predictor of FSA results?
Technically, because it is based on the grade level standards, but their standards are spiraled throughout the school year, but it's not a summative assessment. They're short-term summative assessments. So only about 5 standards are assessed on each CMA assessment because it's a different standard, a different assessment each month.
I've got a question. Dr. Pace, has your staff been doing fidelity checks on these schools?
We've conducted one reflective visit in the schools. We don't do more than that for our charter
So
schools.
you've done one with each one of these schools?
Yes.
And what's the feedback from your leadership team?
At that time, there were still challenges with full staffing and new leadership. I don't know where they are today.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead, please.
At this time, I'm actually going to introduce April Williams, our Regional Director for Osceola Schools.
Good evening, everyone. First, standing in front of you, I want to say to you that we own the fact that our record with you is a little tarnished, and we're going to work very hard and diligently to improve our record and get back on track. So if you turn into the regional support, and you have 4 items there, and I'm going to talk briefly about each item. Currently, we are trying to hire a curriculum specialist specifically for our Osceola schools. Right now, we have 2 for Central Florida, so we would be adding a 3rd. Curriculum specialists go into the school and monitor and review the action plans and initiatives that each school has. They also go in and support CRTs, which are curriculum resource teachers, and also help our principals with professional development.
April, I've got a question if you don't mind. And who will this high school curriculum specialist report to?
The high school curriculum specialist reports directly to our VP of Education, but she works in conjunction with Denise Thompson.
Okay, so this person is just a curriculum person, not going to be a principal?
No, sir. But I will tell you that I know that that's a concern. That's also a concern that Dr. Pace has had, and we understand and have heard you that you feel that we need to add to our model, and we're looking at that. Right now, as you know, we have 9th and 10th grade. We added an AP to the high school, so there's currently an AP at the high school, an AP at the elementary school. In the future, we're looking, when we add 11th grade, to add a co-principal to work in the high school building alongside with Denise. So we have heard your concerns. We have heard Dr. Pace's concerns, but we also have to look at the demographics of the school. We also have to find the right person to work alongside with Denise and within our network. Okay. So know that we've heard your concerns.
Okay, and I've got a question for Dr. Pace. Dr. Pace, based on, you and I have had these conversations, based on the conversations we've had, your concerns, and Dr. Fritz, you and I have had conversations about it also. Do you think that the leadership model that's been presented relative to the operation of that is satisfactory or needs to be reconsidered?
The new assistant principal is in place at the high school now?
Yes, ma'am.
For how long?
He's been in place for approximately 2 weeks. Okay. So he went through that leadership assessment center process that we have, and then we hired him.
Okay.
I know you have not met, right, you have not met him yet.
And I wasn't aware that you had a specific high school program specialist. I think you said you had that back in June.
Yes, ma'am, we do. But I need to be clear that she doesn't just work with Four Corners High School. She works with all the high schools within our network. We have redirected her to work more closely and more frequently with Ms. Thompson so that the school has the support that it needs.
Great. I will pay a follow-up visit to the high school, Jay, and let you know.
Okay, that's fair. And in fairness, I just want to share, before you go any further, I saw Denise come in. Denise, where are you? I see. Denise Thompson is one of the most awesome human beings, educational leaders, principals I've ever met anywhere. And, I mean, I've known Denise a long time. Anything I can do to support her, I will do. And I know the results that you got, and I know it's being asked of her. And it's not a knock on you, Denise. I think you're great. I don't know that anybody could do the job you're being asked to do, where you got two campuses that aren't on top of each other. And again, I don't think it's a criticism on you. I think too much is being asked. That's my opinion. I'm not speaking for anybody but myself. I'm not a professional educator. I'm not an educational leader, but I've been on the school board a long time, and I've seen this school, and I've seen Denise, and I know what she's capable of. And nobody's got 3 arms and 3 legs. It's that simple. And no matter how good anybody is, only 24 hours in the day, and they only got 2 arms and 2 legs. Right. So. I appreciate the fact that Dr. Pace, you're going to go reassess it and take a look, and we'll go from there. Please, but I wanted to go on the record and say that, I think you've got an absolute rock star.
We do too.
Don't let it go to your head. In Denise, I love Denise. She's great to work with, and she is amazing for kids. I mean, she is anything that she can do to help kids, she will do. And I've seen it, and I know it, and I think as highly of her as I do. So please continue.
And I hear you, and Jay, you and I have known each other for a long time as well, and we have heard the concerns, and we're working towards a solution, okay? If you look at the second bullet, it talks about regional leadership, and that's where my team and myself go in, and we review and monitor data. We look at their plans and make sure that they're on track to reach their goals. The third bullet is talking about our quarterly visits. So just like you do your fidelity visits, we do ours, and we do them quarterly. It's a whole team of people going in, assessing, giving feedback to teachers, giving feedback to leadership, and building a relationship across schools so that they can have a bank of instructional strategies to use in their classrooms. And then finally, we do have professional development, and we work with the education team in Fort Lauderdale as well as the one here centrally to develop professional development for all of our teachers and our leaders. So with that, we will go into our school improvement plans, and the first principal up is Ms. Jody Evans.
And before you start, Jody, I just want to share with people that when you open up Renaissance, I think your first year was a D and your second year was an A?
Yes.
Okay, I mean, so you are, I mean, I trust you as an educational leader and as a facility leader. I know you know what you're doing.
Thank you, Mr. Wheeler. I appreciate that. And that was at Point Siena. I'm currently I'm the principal for Renaissance Charter School at Tapestry, so thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and share our plan with you because I know that we all share the same children and we want to do what's best for them. So I have submitted here, the first one is our state accountability calculator. So it shows you exactly our data from last year, which you all obviously have. We were a C school. And these are our targets for this year. Obviously, these are the low end that we want to hit. We definitely want to be an A next year, but this is something that I think is achievable for our school and our demographic currently. And we are working very hard to make sure that we hit those targets this year. And it's been at the forefront of every meeting that we have with our staff and our leadership team.
Now, your school is a K-8, correct?
I'm sorry?
Your school is a K-8, right?
Currently, it's a K-7.
Okay.
Yes.
So, okay, and I know, and Renaissance that you opened in Point Siena was a K-8 also, right?
Correct. The first year we were there was a K-6, then we added 7th, and then we added 8th the following year.
Okay, so let me ask you a question.
Sure.
How successful do you think, and I think you'll be successful, I've seen your work, and you made a believer out of me, Jody. The question I've got, though, is how successful do you think you would be as a principal of this school if you had another high school about a half mile away and you had to manage both schools?
Well, I feel that I could do it. Definitely with the assistance of a great leadership team beneath me. Okay. I definitely think it's manageable. We've seen it happen in other areas within our network. I know Denise is very strong. I believe with a support system with both her APs and her curriculum specialists and the curriculum team behind her.
I'm asking what you think you could.
I think I could do it too,
Thank you,
so.
thank you. Okay.
Could I
that's fair
just
enough.
ask one question, Jody? Are you now the full-time principal at Tapestry?
Yes, I am. It's my second year at Tapestry.
Okay, and then who's at Point Siena?
Currently Miss Feliciano. She's at Point Siena.
My understanding was that she was on leave or something to
She's
that?
currently on leave. I am assisting the school with support, along with their assistant principal, and we have a support team, the regional support team, coming to support as well while she's on leave. So we're making sure that we go ahead and move forward with her plan and her strategic plan that she put forward this year while she's out on leave.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Mr. Wheeler, the next page is our reflective visit. You were asking if they've been out for fidelity checks?
Correct.
And yes, they have. This was done on September 6th. As you can see, at the beginning of the school year, we also have a lot of new teachers. So within your plan and our classroom walkthroughs, we did realize that we needed to support rigor that's happening in the classroom. So I'm just going to move right into the next page, which is our first instructional.
The top of the page is increase in target vocabulary instruction.
I'm sorry.
What's at the top of the page?
The next page was, it has our logo with the reflective visit on it. That's where your team came out and did a reflective visit on September 6th at Tapestry. So this is actually Osceola County's reflective visit for us. And those are some things that they documented, our strengths on the left and our opportunities for growth on the right. Okay, so the next page at the top says increase standards-based instruction that is supported by the Marzano instructional framework to increase student achievement. This is our first strategic goal for Tapestry. We're underneath that, we want to tier our professional development. We do have a lot of new teachers, but we do have some veteran teachers with us. So we want to make sure that the teacher skill set is targeted. And then, of course, with our new teachers, we want to make sure that they're teaching to the complexity of the standard. So along the lines with your reflective visit and classroom walkthroughs that we've conducted, we noticed a need for a common planning time. So every Tuesday, administration meets with every teacher, each grade level during their planning time to review their lesson plans to ensure that the complexity of the standards being met. We review the activities with them so that we know rigor is happening more often in the classroom and that we're protecting our instructional time and every minute we have with our students. That's done every Tuesday in our building with administration. Using data from FSA and NWEA, also developed our personalized learning plans, which Ms. Freitag also just explained to you. We just had our parent conferences where students did have their data chats with their parents and review their goals for the year. And then within that, we also started a walk to RTI, which is it's actually a great target for all of our students. So we have every grade level has a walk for 30 minutes depending on what skills they need to address. We also hit our overachieving students or our higher level students based on where they are at within the RIT bands as well. And that's gone very successfully this year.
Flocabulary. Never heard of flocabulary.
Oh, you're ahead of me already.
Okay, I'm looking. Yeah, you're right, but I've never seen that word before.
Flocabulary is a website that we use, but before that, our next one is to increase and target vocabulary instruction. I know you're all aware within Osceola County we have a lot of ELL students. So as our planning session over the summer, we determined what could we do that's going to move our students the quickest. So we determined that vocabulary instruction would be another goal for us at Tapestry. So standards and NWA RIT band analysis, targeted grade level vocabulary. We also have concept walls created in every classroom.
What does RIT stand for?
It's called the RASH unit. It's actually the person who came up with according to NWA, there's a band. So it shows us beginning of the level, beginning of the school year, middle of the school year, and end of the school year. So it's really the person who designed that table. Okay? We also have visuals in the front of the classroom. You can see them when you come walk the building. We have academic vocabulary on one side, and then our NWA vocabulary on the other. So it's content and academic. We've also posted vocabulary cards throughout our school, instructing students to get as much instruction as they can on math vocabulary. So our math scores are where we're trying to target the most this year, as we need to increase our math throughout the network and throughout our school.
I got a question for you.
Sure.
Between the Renaissance and Tapestry School that you're overseeing both right now, Fully staffed with teachers, or do you have any openings?
We currently are full, well, at Tapestry, we have a couple permanent subs, and also at Point Siena, we have a couple permanent subs, but they are teachers who are waiting to take their assessments. So when we hired them, they did have a statement of eligibility, but as you know, Osceola County requires the subject area exam, so they need to go ahead and complete that before we can move them into a permanent teacher. Okay? And then we always have ongoing professional development, and then vocabulary has been implemented in driving excitement throughout the school. The students love it. If you get a chance to go on there and see it, it's amazing. They get into it and start singing all the songs all day long, so it's been really effective for our building. On the next page, increase instruction and language development of our ELL learners, instruction observation model. So this is something new for us. This is not something that we did a whole lot of last year, but we would really have done a lot of professional development with teachers around the CEOP model.
What's CEOP stand for?
Sheltered Instruction Observational Model, right there at the top.
What's the P stand for?
I don't know what the P stands for. Protocol, thank you. Sorry. So we're conducting classroom walkthroughs with a focus on ESOL strategies and monitoring lessons. Again, we check it within our common planning time as well to ensure that we're making sure we have pictures and things in the classroom. We've also implemented the Lexia program for our students. It does Spanish and English conversion, so that's really helpful for them as well. This year, we also started for the first time a tutoring group for our ELL students to help them with language acquisition. So that's something we just rolled out, and I'll get to that on the next page. And then ongoing monitoring and data checks for identified students who will actually count as one of our target groups for next year. So the next page is increased instructional minutes of targeted students. I just gave you a table to show you how we kind of target. So we have our lowest 25 and bubble down students that we've invited to weekly tutoring. We started out at 50. This is an ongoing process of making sure that we're contacting parents, getting them in the school so that they're educated on how important it is to make up that instructional time so that we can move students who are below grade level and get them on grade level as soon as possible. We currently are up to 160. So when I put this together, we're at 122. But that just shows you the fidelity in our team and making sure that parents are educated on why it's so important to get them in after-school tutoring.
What are some of the competitions and what are some of the incentives and how effective have they been?
Well, if a student comes like Saturday camp, at first, so we'll have like a dress down day where they can come in. We'll have a pizza party for the classroom that does certain things. It just depends on what the students, we actually had them fill out a questionnaire to see what they wanted, like maybe an extended recess for 5 minutes, as long as they make it up in tutoring. So just different things depending on each group. Okay. The next group is our ELL students, which I just talked about. So we currently have 16 signed up, and like I said, that's new for us, so we're still trying to build upon that. And then our Saturday camps, we actually started it earlier this year than we did last year. Last year we started in January. We just started this Saturday. We had 78 students attend. Last year, typically, we had between 160 and 200 students in on a Saturday.
How long are they there for on Saturdays?
Last year was 8:30 to 11:30. This year we're doing 9 to 12. And then finally, obviously, we need to progress monitor and do data tracking. So all students over the summer were scheduled according to their needs. Students and teachers track their progress using their PLPs and classroom data trackers. And teachers will meet with administration on a bi-weekly basis to review class and grade level data, including the common monthly benchmark, formative and summative assessments. And finally, administration, we all have a spreadsheet with all of our targets, and we make sure we follow up with that on a weekly basis. Okay, and those are our strategic initiatives. The final page is just our software usage in comparison to last year to this year. So that's our Think Through Math, and then the Reading Plus on the right-hand side. So we're looking forward to seeing what those programs do for us this year as well. So the next school up is Miss Julie Ramirez, the principal of Canoe Creek Charter Academy. Thank you.
Before you all go any further, I just want to point out that Charter Schools USA has been a great partner for Osceola County Schools, and you guys have always performed. This is the first year there's been some hiccups, and we need your student stations. We want you to be successful. We think all of our kids deserve to go to very high-performing schools and deserve to be pushed. And I'm hopeful that you will all perform, as you have in the past, as we expect. And That's why you're here. I mean, you're not here because we want to say, you. We want you to be successful. We need you to be successful. Kids deserve to go to A schools.
And I think we all would agree with that, and that's why we're here taking this so seriously, and I hope that you feel our compassion for that as well tonight. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may?
Yeah.
Let me just
Go
offer as well, and you guys are doing an exceptional job of walking through all the components, and you've done an outstanding job of providing very comprehensive information for us to have on hand as well. I don't know if the board feels the same as I do. You don't have, for me personally, you don't have to walk us through each page.
Okay.
And that's not to say that you did anything wrong, by the way, Jody, but to respect and honor your time, your competency, and our ability to kind of work through this, I'm fine with getting a quick summary from each school and then us relying upon this information. And if there's additional questions, board members can ask them. If not, we can always circle back with you. But I don't personally, board, I don't know about the rest of you. I don't need for you to walk through every single page. Okay.
Very much like the 3 minutes we talked about.
Okay, perfect.
Yep.
Well, I'd like to thank you for allowing me this time to come and share with you our initiatives so that we can get Canoe Creek back to an A. I also have the state accountability calculator on there, which shows, and I feel confident we're in a better place this year, at the beginning of the year, than we were last year, to really reach for those goals and make those that A. So that would be the reason why we have that goal. I also included in here the monitoring our reflective visit as well. So looking at this and when the district came, what they saw, some things that we saw, increasing rigor, our academic vocabulary, different things that we incorporated in our plan as well. So I'll go ahead and switch just to our priority initiative. Again, we are just going to implement the fundamentals. We are going to be data-driven. We are going to increase that instructional rigor. We're going to promote a culture with the MTSS as well as our developmental design. And we're going to promote a culture conducive to excellence by providing professional development for our teachers. And again, if you look learning resources for all, that's on the slide. We had additional PD in October to make sure our teachers are using these correctly and using the resources provided to make sure that they're getting the most out of that. If you go ahead and flip to the slide that has the chart, this is another chart with our usage. And like Ms. Freitag said, the increased usage will increase our student performance. So as you can already see, our usage has gone up. And in math and reading, we are scoring above 50% increase from the prior year. The next slide for teacher and co-teacher focus, we are using Lexia Core 5. That is a blended learning model as well. All our kindergarten through second grade teachers are using it, and we're using it as a pullout for our lowest 25%. An area we see that we need to grow in is learning gains, so we're really focusing on ensuring all our students grow. We talk about a little bit about adjusting our focus. MTSS, we're doing the walk to MTSS as well, where we're switching to make sure that our lowest students that need that extra support are getting it. But our goal is also to make sure that our high achieving students are growing as well, because that's where we fell short last year in making learning gains. So we need to make sure that we make those learning gains.
I guess that I've got more of a system question than just a Canoe Creek or PM Wells, et cetera. I mean, you look at PM Wells, you look at Canoe Creek, you look at Four Corners Upper School. I mean, there was reasons why, but all of them did not perform how you would like them to perform, how we would have liked them to perform.
Definitely.
So I guess whoever can address that from a system perspective, and you showed a bunch of stuff, but I guess that I mean, all the data is data. Data is data, and you've got a lot of plans, and I appreciate you're taking some steps. I guess the question I would have is for Dr. Pace. Based on what you've seen, do you think that this is going where it should go? I mean, I'm looking at a lot of information, which is good because the last charter operator that came in didn't have as good a handle on their information, I think. So give me your thoughts, please.
I think the team is very prepared tonight, and that's kind of what we wanted to kind of hear from them.
Right.
The concerns that I had, as I said before, were inexperienced leadership and a lack of full staffing in the building. So we were relying on computer programs and uncertified or teachers or those kinds of things. And if they're working problems and meet those needs, then I think that's a key piece of it. We don't have the resources at the district to provide as much support for our charter schools as we do for our district schools. but we will continue to support as we can and have answered questions, and I will continue to visit as we have opportunity, and look forward to meeting the new high school person on staff, seeing the teachers again in your building, and double checking to make sure that these things are being put into place with fidelity. I just don't personally and professionally believe that we can rely entirely on computer programs to address the students' needs. We've got to have certified teachers providing high-quality Tier 1 instruction and use those computer programs to supplant and support where we have individual differentiation.
And that's basically what we're doing, and that's why I had the trainers come back again to make sure. And we definitely appreciate the support from the districts. Our teachers did have an opportunity to attend the PLC training this summer, and that was very beneficial, so that we hit the ground running the first week of school when the teachers came back looking at that data and really driving that model. So we definitely appreciate that support.
Julie, before you move on, Mr. Weissider has.
Dr. Pace, have you had this, was this information provided to you tonight? Have you had it in advance?
Just at the same time the board members got it. I apologize, sir. I've not had a chance to review it.
No apology needed by anybody. I was just curious. Because I think that'll be another thing. Because, again, it goes back to the point that I made earlier, is I think, and look, I'll be frank, I expect nothing less from CSUSA. I know John personally, and everything that he wants to do, he wants to have excellence tied to it. And so to come with this level of preparedness and a transparency and a willingness to identify the areas that growth needs to be made in, and then to lay out the strategy of how you're going to get there, is exactly what I think really what we're looking for. Yes. I share that to say that I've been kind of flipping through and thumbing through and making notes. I'm of the opinion that you guys are doing everything that you need to do, and you've laid out your strategies well enough to me at least, and hopefully to this board, that I can feel confident that you guys are on the right track, and that as the superintendent begins to dig through that deeper, she'll work with us to identify other gaps or holes that she might have, short of what we may be able to even identify tonight. Right. And again, I'm not trying to cut anybody short, but I'm trying to make the most efficient approach of how we deal with this. Right. I feel like what I'm looking at, you guys have been very intentional, very purposeful, very clear. You know what you want to do. As I expressed earlier, I have no doubt with Mr. Hage sitting here himself, he as a leader of this company, and you as a company as a whole, are committed to getting this right, and committed to not only getting this right for the benefit of your own operations, but getting it right because you know that this school board and this community has continued to value the relationship that we have with Charter Schools USA and charter schools in general. So I'm inclined, unless another board member feels differently, to be satisfied with what I have here. And again, if we go further and allow the superintendent and her team to continue to work through this, continue to have a communication and dialogue through Dr. Esposito and each of the respective principals and the head office, and let's see if there is any gaps or anything that we can kind of identify. But I'm satisfied already with what I have this evening.
I guess I'd like to hear from Mr. Hage. I'm glad. First off, I appreciate how many of you came up from Fort Lauderdale? Raise your hands if you came up.
Whole room.
Okay, I appreciate the effort and the commitment, and thank you so much.
Yes.
And John.
Well, if you don't. If I could, Mr. Chairman, I have all the people that are a part of the CSUSA team, if you all could just stand up for a second so you could see all the committed educators.
Those are all the people you're taking to dinner tonight?
Yeah.
That's great. That's great.
I just wanted to point out all these folks here that are amazing educators. And Dr. Pace knows this, and you know this, Jay, and we consider ourselves just a different part of the same hand of the school district, which is we're partners with you. We recognize the world of education's changed over the last 25 years, where there's different ways to deliver education, but at the end of the day, they're all of our kids. You know, we've been here for a decade. This is the first time where we've ever had to come in and kind of maybe talk about what did we not get right, but it's good for us to do that. First of all, it's good to do it with your new superintendent. I've met with Dr. Pace at least twice and had several conversations on the phone with her. The response and the accountability.
Did you learn something from her?
I did. And the accountability, Jay, is good for everybody. We're all accountable to parents and to students and to the taxpayers. We've been a long-term partner with the district here. Just a couple years ago, we had all straight A schools, right? And so here we are. We all dropped a little last year. The whole state did. It's not an excuse, though. The bottom line is that we did have some turnover in both the top level leadership level. We also had too many good teachers leave us and not enough quality teachers join us fast enough. I think we're all dealing with teacher quality, or at least teacher hiring right now. We've started some big initiatives. Let me just tell you the system-wide question you asked about, Jay. One thing we did, and I don't know if this has been announced to you all, but we went to the board of the Osceola Foundation, where we run 2 schools for them under your approval, and actually announced that all of the schools that are here, we made a major pay increase, where we actually went and invested against our own operating fees to run the schools to increase pay. Across the board, there was 11 schools that were ultimately impacted, some here in Osceola and some in other places that were lower performing schools, to the total tune of almost $3 million of investment in pay for those teachers. So it was a major investment in those schools. Number 2 is we're focusing on leadership like never before. We're all dealing with leadership issues right now nationally, and bring in the best and brightest. I've been traveling the country and our schools across the United States and finding the same issues everywhere, which is that we're really having to work much more aligned with the top leadership institutes in the country, both in the private sector and the public sector, to grow better leaders and get them faster. So we're going out with new initiatives right now on that. That's not just a pay issue, that's getting ahead of the curve and building our own leadership and building our bench, just like you did tonight with some of your promotions. It was nice to see those. And we're doing that as well and building that bench. We have grown fast. The truth is that you can't ignore the fact that we have added a lot of schools and a lot of students in a relatively short period of time. I've recognized that as well as a leader, and it's my initiative or my responsibility to own that, which is that we're going to slow that growth right now. We actually have been putting the growth backwards and going and saying no to a lot of new schools. We've had, as you might imagine, dozens, if not hundreds, of schools that are opportunities for us. We've said no to most of those, and this year we're focused on quality in everything we're doing. We're doing a system-wide strategic plan for the company right now. We actually are all day Thursday and all day Friday with 68 of our top leaders throughout the organization, from teachers to board members. We actually have one of your own. In fact, we've asked one of your own people on your staff to be a part of our strategic planning so they could come in and actually be inside helping us become better at that. And we believe that because of the initiatives that we're putting together, everything from an academic initiative to hiring the top talent in the country to building out our launch pad so that before we grow more schools, we have absolutely the best in the country. 2 years ago, we were the top performing education company in the country. There was no one beating our scores. We slipped a little last year, and that's not acceptable. That won't happen again. Every initiative you're seeing is just one piece of a massive undertaking to get quality back as number one, and growth will be behind that. And until we're high quality, we won't grow fast again. So you won't see us coming in for a lot of charters until you see performance. I know there was a couple in the pipeline recently that were already in place, and Dr. Pace and I talked about those to make sure I do have, in fact, the quality leadership in place. We believe we have that coming up. We did hear you about the high school as well. That will be a co-principalship. That changed because of your input on it. We'd like an opportunity to make sure that the AP I have and the people we have are ready for that. I don't want to push them ahead of their ability to perform for you and for us. So at the end of the day, bottom line is we're accountable to you, we're accountable to our parents, and we're okay with that. We like that. I like a challenge. We're up to the challenge. Ultimately, we'll never let you down. We haven't before and won't this time. And so we're up for the job. We'll continue to perform for you. And if we start to slip again, then we'll double down again and we'll add even more resources.
Well, John, I mean, I appreciate you coming, and this is not anything that I want to do again with any charter school, not just your schools. I mean, I don't want to do this with anybody. I don't even want to do it with our own schools, but it's my responsibility.
Absolutely.
And so that's why I'm glad you came. I appreciate the commitment. I appreciate that you're prepared. You know your data. You've got a plan, and we all need you and want you to be successful. So we appreciate the commitment.
I want to just say one thing about Dr. Pace and your team. At first, you come in and you're working through new leadership, and there has been a lot of change, obviously, in the district over the last couple years. And I think for us, it's a great opportunity to have high expectations together, to not make it politicized and to make it around excellence and academic achievement and focus on data. And I think those conversations have been very helpful, and they've been, I think, win-win in the sense that they've been direct. They've been focused on students, leadership, all the key key issues that, and I just want to say we appreciate that as well, and it's a two-way relationship, and I do appreciate Dr. Pace working with us that way. Sonia, you guys have, you know that, a superstar in her. Dr. Esposito is just the best. She's always fair, but she holds us accountable, and she's a part of our solution and always helping us. And you guys do actually, relative to most districts we work with around the country, you do more than most, I can tell you that. And you're fair and you hold people accountable, so we do appreciate the relationship and the partnership with you guys.
John, we just want to thank you
Yes, sir.
and your team for all their time. Not that we wanted to shorten it, but the
Yes, sir.
thing that we wanted to see was the commitment and the effort and where you were coming from.
Yes, sir.
It was clear through what you've done here that you've done that, so thank you to you, thank you to your team. Clearly, you've had years of good performance. We expect to see that again. So thank you very much for this, and I'm sure Dr. Pace, you will see more and more of her. So thank you all very much for coming. Thank you for coming with your team, too. And y'all be careful going home.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Board.
Before you leave, do you want Denise to run for president? Is that what you were trying to say?
There's not, in 4 years, we'll talk about it.
That's what I heard coming next out of your
No,
mouth.
I thought you were going to ask, was John going to take him for steak or Italian? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, well, I am taking them actually to dinner after this. That's funny.
Whatever you
Dave.
need, Denise.
But,
Whatever you need.
but we have really great people, and thank you guys for, charters sometimes can feel like the stepchild kind of model, and we do actually appreciate this. We like the accountability. We don't shrink from it, and it's nice to have a school district. To be honest with you, we actually have school districts where they never even call us or even come to our schools. Yeah. I have school districts where I've had a superintendent never step in one of our schools. So that's, again, a testament, and we think that makes for better students, for better schools, and for obviously for better educated students.
We have very high expectations for our students, and your students are ours. So,
yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Wait a minute, we got two comments.
Just comment, because I want to make sure this is clear for the community, for you, and then for everyone that took the time to be here. My desire in saying we don't have to go through all this is not because I don't want the accountability conversation. I absolutely want it. I think you know that very well. I appreciate the time that everybody put in to prepare this information. What I hope that you take away from this is that there's a level of trust and a partnership. And so my goal for this takeaway is I'm going to turn to our education leaders here locally and say, hey, work through this, analyze this, and report back to us about what you think. And as you pointed out, John, you and Dr. Pace will have those conversations about where she sees opportunities and weaknesses, and then also the strengths that we know that you guys have as well. But for those that took the time to be here, your time is valued, and I want you to know that. And I think, as maybe the chairman said, the fact that you guys all took the time to be here, the fact that the CEO and others from your corporate office took the time to fly here or drive here and spend time with us. It is not lost on us at all. We do appreciate it, and I take this as a sign from me to you that we believe in you guys, and we believe you can do it. Now we're just looking for you to get it done.
Thank you, Mr. Weishauer.
Mr. Booth?
Yeah, I just want to make sure that the community knows, and you all know, that charter schools are high-quality charter schools are valued in Osceola County. And we want you, we need you, and we want you to be a part of the great things that are and are going to continue to happen in Osceola County. So thank you all for coming up tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Booth.
Thank you.
Thank you, Board. Thank you very much.
Have a good evening.
You're welcome to stay.
Jay's got another presentation?
Excuse me. Bring us to the informational items on the agenda. The monthly business advisory report is in our packet. I'm sure everybody has looked at. Health and life insurance is as well in there.
It's not here. It's just information for your
Just
review.
information. And the investment performance review is also in here. And just my thought, Board, and you can do whatever you'd like. This is a quarterly report on the investment performance review. Much like the bond, I think for a quarterly report on this, especially when we're probably going to end up bonding a bunch of money and we're going to have some cash that's invested, a 3 or 5 minute presentation to kind of just walk through that. I get that the graphs are all in there, but somebody who does this every day that can hit the 3 or 4 high points is pretty useful information to have, I think.
I'm with you.
So, next, that takes us to the regular agenda, Board.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve items A, B, and C under curriculum and instruction.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Booth with a second by Mr. Weishauer to approve items A, B, and C. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0.
Chairman, I make a motion under business of fine of letter D.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Weishire, second by Mr. Wheeler to
Discussion.
approve item D. Board, any further discussion? Mr.
Yeah.
Booth?
I just want to say that I hope the community understands the value of this relationship here and the value of these services. Without Macy Island Consulting, without Mr. Horner's help, I actually firmly believe that we would not have received the additional capital funding dollars last year. So I want to personally thank him here at this public meeting. Thank him for being here tonight, and look forward to working with him again this year.
And I want to add on to Ricky's comments. I appreciate you also, Mike. You're doing a good job for us. And you didn't just get us additional capital funding. You got us $4 million. So $4 million is so far, it's a very good investment. Let's make it $6 million this year. No pressure.
8.
Oh, 8, you heard the chairman? We're at 10. So I appreciate you, Mike.
Yeah.
And just as a reminder, Board, we do have a workshop in December the 8th, with our lobbyists to talk about your lobbyist agenda for the upcoming year.
Yep. This has been a fabulous return on our investment.
Indeed.
Yes, sir.
I agree.
So far.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Great job, Mike, and we're looking forward to continue to work with you.
I have a motion by Mr. Weishire and a second by Mr. Wheeler to approve item D. Any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. Brings us to facilities.
Mr. Chairman, under facilities, I would make a motion to approve letters E and F.
Second.
A motion by Mr. Weishire with a second by Mr. Booth to approve items E through F. Board, any further discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries 5-0. We already did the charter school update. We're getting ready to do the reorg, but before we do that, the board member comments, I'm going to kind of move that up a little bit if anybody's got comments.
I would like to make a comment.
Mr. Martin, I'm addressing this to you probably. The request that D had, I have no idea if you're allowed, I would assume you're not allowed to get your box of records, that they belong to the attorney. I know she's gone.
Every 15 minutes for the last month, and we've responded to her request in writing.
Okay. Is that, you cannot give up those records?
She wanted to, actually what she did was, she called the day after the funeral and said she wanted to sue Larry Brown's estate, could I give her a copy of the will? And then she wanted all of his files, his legal files, which obviously we can't do.
Right.
And this is the first I'm hearing about a storage unit, but that's.
Well, that's,
we can't do.
okay, well, I just wanted to make sure as a board, I didn't want to totally ignore somebody from the public bringing it up.
And I've
I didn't
responded
believe you could, but I just wanted to make sure that we did.
And we, okay, sorry. And we've responded in writing.
All right, as long as that's been,
I don't want to talk about this. I got one other item. I just talked to Sarah. I've got on the audit committee, I've got somebody serving on the audit. Do you want to, should I bring that up or under superintendent's reports?
no, that's under, if your board assignments are down or next.
It'll be a part of the reorg.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
Can I just bring up one?
Yeah, I did have a comment. I think this is the second time, maybe in as many meetings, that we've brought a whole crew of folks in here and done and almost put on an hour presentation. I don't really think this is the time or place for that. To do that, I would hope that future chairman or the superintendent, and I know Jay said it's for our benefit. He said that at the last meeting. I understand. I think having these folks come in here, holding their feet to the fire, obviously, I think that's a great thing. But I think pulling 10 folks in here and going on and on for an hour and through some really deep data, that's either a workshop or that's stuff that needs to be done with Dr. Pace and Dr. Fritz and Dr. Esposito.
And I'd
those are my
mentioned that at
thoughts.
the last meeting too, and I didn't realize.
And
that's where we were going tonight.
I don't agree, and I'll tell you why I don't agree, Ricky and Clarence, because the essence of what we do is having kids come to school today and making them smarter today than they were yesterday. That's the essence of what we do. Here is an outside firm, vendor, agency, whatever you want to call them. They got our kids. I mean, these are our kids in their schools, and they're not performing. And as a board, if there's any criticism I've got about school boards in general, at least in Florida, is that when charters don't perform, they don't bring them in. there is no accountability. And I think that doing it in a board meeting adds gravitas to it. You're right, it is time consuming. There is a lot of, splitting hairs with some of the data. I get that. But at the same time, last time we did it with Avant-Garde, and they were not as well prepared. And I think it was important that it got fleshed out, and it also got fleshed out in front of the board, and none of us knew it. We were lucky we had a superintendent who knew it, that the person who was representing them as the principal wasn't in fact the principal. He was an interim. So I think that it's very important when it comes to charter operators. Let's talk about, these are public schools. Operating public schools in this county that we authorize to bring them in a board meeting for this type of thing, and I don't enjoy it any more than any of you do. This is nothing that I look forward to. The last thing I want to do is bring somebody up and say, you're not up to muster. But where else are we going to do it? And I don't think a workshop is the right place to do it. And I think that having Dr. Fritz and Dr. Pace look at it, I think is of value. But we're the ones authorizing them. It's on us. And we got to own it. And if we can't own it, we need to bring it, we need to tell them. And to the point that Mr. Weishauer made earlier, I am much more confident in what I was presented tonight than I am what was presented by Avant-Garde a few short weeks ago. By comparison, if we didn't have these in a meeting, though, Ricky, you wouldn't see it. You wouldn't know.
And again, it's not about not holding them accountable. It's about setting it up in a workshop setting where it's not during this meeting here. It's not about this. I don't mind being presented this information. I don't believe, and I hold firm in that, I don't believe this is the right forum for that.
And I respectfully disagree.
And that's fine.
And you're entitled to my opinion.
Yeah.
You're next on the, or did that?
No, that was my thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mr. Sut?
Yeah, just one.
I got you on the
I don't know
wrong
if this is the right time to bring it up, but I spoke with the superintendent about proposing a rule change on some of the audit advisory committees that we do. I noticed that for some committees, we allow an exception for membership, for someone to participate, be appointed, to be more accurate, if they have substantial ties to the county, whether they own a business or they're employed. But for some reason, with the audit advisory committee, that's not the case. So I was speaking with the superintendent about possibly making all the committees the same in the sense that if you have someone that you want to nominate to be appointed to one of our committees, that if they have the substantial ties through employment or through owning a business, that they be eligible to be appointed. The reason is because if you look at our geography, you'll see that we're very intertwined with our business and in other ways, with Orange County is really close by. I think the whole population of Osceola County borders within 5 miles of the northern border of the county. So we have a lot of folks that may live in Orange County but do all their business and run a business in Osceola County. They're committed to the schools. I just think it makes sense to make the audit advisory committee just follow the other committees in allowing that someone who has a business or is employed in Orange County to be able to be appointed to that committee. So I'm asking that a rule be proposed that we can consider, and I would hope adopt in the near future.
I'm fine with that.
I agree with what you're saying, but I agree differently. I didn't know we had other committees where people from out of town were serving on them, to be quite honest, but.
Business Advisory Board language allows for someone either living within the county or being employed or owning a business in the county. The Audit Advisory language, which is in policy, states very clearly that they must be a resident of Osceola County. I sent in Friday's board update some information about this for your review, and unless you tell us otherwise, it would be added for your consideration and discussion, public hearing at our December rulemaking workshop, or if we don't have consensus from the board tonight, we won't add it. That's up to the board.
I don't care if it gets added, but probably not without having it on there.
Have opportunity for more discussion.
Mr. B first, and then.
Yeah. No, I was going to say that I probably would. I guess I'd like to probably think about this a little further. Obviously, but I can tell you initially, I would not support it.
That's fine. I mean, like I said, one committee has it, the other one doesn't. You know, it's, you know, a lot of people that live in Orange County do their business here. They practically spend their whole day here. They're involved in our
They
chambers.
need to come buy a fancy house down in Osceola County and start paying taxes down here.
And that, you know what, that is a reasonable, you know, that is a reasonable expectation is that what you feel? Absolutely.
My comment is actually the same as Mr. Booth's. At first glance, it's not something that I think I'd be favorable towards. However, I would want to make sure that there's similarity across all of our committees and what we're doing. And so maybe, for me at least, maybe the best part that comes out of this is that we take a look at business advisory, audit, and all the other committees, and then look at the language of how these appointments and where the individual needs to come from. My first preference, though, is always going to be that it's a resident of Osceola County.
And I like the consistency, but like I said, mine's different for his.
Yeah.
And I'll share my take on it is, and I'm not close to it, Calvin. If someone doesn't live in Osceola County, but if they are an employer and have got X number of Osceola County residents working for them, that works for me too. I mean, I don't want someone who's just employed here. If they are a business owner though, and they, you know, and they're contributing to this community, they got employees working for them who live here. If they're a business owner, they're as invested as somebody who lives here.
Just see if we can get a consensus. Board, is it worth letting staff bring it back just so we can think about it?
Sure.
And look at the whole thing?
I'll look at it.
I'd like to look at the consistency issue, period.
Yeah, that's what I'm most interested in.
What I will do is, Sarah and I will send you tomorrow the language for the Business Advisory Board, as well as the policy language that talks about the Audit Advisory Committee, so that you have both for comparison.
And any other committees? Is there any other?
We'll look to see, we'll work with John Boyd. That may not, that may take us towards the end of the week, but we'll get you that information.
I don't think that's an emergency.
And then the final part of my comment was just in response to Mr. Wheeler. I think that Wheeler makes a very good point about, you know, the purpose of a public meeting in terms of, you know, questioning whether a certain vendor or a charter school. I just feel like Mr. Booth, that maybe this one was premature. I think that there could be certain levels where we can do this in a workshop, and then after a certain amount of time has passed,
I could see that.
when a report comes in that, and we're properly advised by staff that, look, you know, board, this is happening. It really requires your attention, and, you know, in a brief meeting, to bring up and ask for straight questions, answers to straight questions. For example, when this was going on, I thought that Mr. Wheeler was going to do as he'd done previously and just go right to the heart of the matter and say, okay, look, this is what happened before, why, and what are you going to do different now? That's what you did with the previous charter school.
They were very poorly prepared though.
Yeah, but you did not do that in this presentation. You let them present as you know, what they had, instead of
Because I thought
going to the heart of the matter.
I thought they were doing a professional job. I didn't think they were disorganized.
But it could be, Mr. Wheeler, that it was just simply premature, that had you had a workshop and then had something to comment on afterwards after a period of time.
One more thing,
would have been
Mr.
more
Chairman.
appropriate.
Okay, one more thing, and then we're going to
Yeah, that's
reorganize
fine.
this board and go home.
Sure.
Can I just make one comment, Mr. Chairman?
Hold on just
Mr.
a second.
Booth, then you
Look, I want to hold these folks accountable. Don't get me wrong. But you and I know that if we have a problem, a lot of the work that we do is not done here on the dais. A lot of the work we do is speaking with superintendent, our staff, or even if we have a problem with the charter school, Dr. Esposito. I actually had a charter school question this week and talked to Dr. Esposito. I think those avenues are better, or possibly even a workshop, as I said, than having in the official board meeting coming forward and kind of going through an hour's worth of data. I don't think that's what this meeting is for. It, but that doesn't mean I think we're on the same page on accountability. I just think maybe the mechanism and the mechanics of it.
Nobody else is responsible for authorizing or terminating a charter in this community other than the five of us.
And we agree on that.
And to that end, I don't know, Ricky. I mean, hopefully this is an academic exercise that we never have to go through, and all of our charters are performing great.
I'm with you.
And
That
this
would be
is
nice.
not anything we got to do again. But if we have to do it,
I've said my piece.
then you know, as distasteful as it may be and as time consuming as it is, it's our job.
All right, Board, if we got, let Mr. Martyr's got a question,
Yes,
comment, or
I have
something?
to request that we schedule an executive session for the next meeting, 12/13.
Okay, that's all we need, right? Or do we need the cases?
It's 2014 CA 0002220N.
Oh, not that one. I was thought it was
You got it, Tanya?
220.
On December 12th?
So we're
December
covered, that's
13th.
all we need with that. With that, I'll turn it over.
I could just make sure the board is clear about next steps for our legal services RFP. Stacy's prepared to explain if not, but I think you have your information now. The 29th, the morning is simply to shortlist, and then we'll schedule hearings or oral presentations following that. But the FSBA doesn't start until the next day, so we felt like that morning meeting would be adequate.
That was fine, but it said Thursday, which.
I apologize. Okay, as long as we're all set, Tuesday, the 29th, 8 a.m.
Yep.
Okay.
It's Dr.
It's all
Pace
yours
up.
for the reorg.
Okay, Florida statutes 1001.371 and 100.0413A provide that in November of each year, the district school board shall organize by electing a chair. It may elect a vice chair, and the district school superintendent shall act ex officio as the secretary. At the organization meeting, the district school superintendent shall act as chair until the organization is completed. Additionally, Florida Statute Section 1010.07 requires school board members to be adequately bonded. Each board member is currently bonded as required by statute and serves a term of 4 years. The reorganization portion of the meeting is now open, with changes made tonight to be effective on the second Tuesday following the election in accordance with the statute, or November 22nd, 2016.
I'll make a motion that Kelvin Soto serve as the next chairman of the board of the Osceola County.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Booth with a second by Mr. Wheeler to nominate Mr. Kelvin Soto as chair of the school board of Osceola County. Any further nominations? Hearing no further nominations, the nominations are closed. I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0 to elect Mr. Kelvin Soto as our chair. Congratulations, your role as chairman will be effective November 22nd, 2016.
Oh, yeah, my speech.
No.
Thank you, board.
Okay.
The floor is now open for nominations for Osceola County Vice Chair.
I'll nominate Ricky Booth to be vice chair.
Second.
Okay. That's quick.
We have a motion by Mr. Wheeler with a second by Mr. Soto to nominate Mr. Booth as the Vice Chairman of the School Board of Osceola County. Any further nominations? Hearing no further nominations, the nominations are closed. I will call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried 5-0. By board action, Mr. Booth was declared the Vice Chairman of the Board. Congratulations, Mr. Booth.
Thank you.
Your role as Vice Chair, effective on November 22nd, 2016.
Be very similar to your role.
It's similar to my role.
A tentative schedule of board meeting times and dates, as well as proposed committee members, has been placed at your seat.
Let's look at that first.
This schedule adheres to the required regular meeting on the first Tuesday of the month, with a special meeting on the third Tuesday of the month, with a few exceptions. Workshops may be added as requested by the board. Expulsion dates are noted on the day immediately following the board meeting at 1 p.m. We will need to make one correction on the committee assignments. Mr. Torres, Mr. Soto's nomination will hold until we have an opportunity to explore the policy piece, but Mr. Wheeler has proposed Mr. Shell Hart to take over his position on the audit committee.
Well, let me just explain it. Paul Collins was on it, and it's supposedly, his term is supposed to be concurrent with mine. Paul is very anxious to get into the retirement business full-time, and Shell Hart is a great guy. He's coached everything that I haven't coached, soccer and stuff like that in Celebration, and it's unique. He's got a kid who's graduating, he's got a kid who's a junior, and a kid who's a sophomore, and two 2-year-old twins also. So he's going to be all done with the system with 3 kids in 2 years, and then has got 2 more going all the way through the system. Great guy, good community member, coaches kids. He also He is an avid tutor. He's done Shark Tank stuff for Celebration High School. Just, I'm thrilled he's willing to do it.
Just a clarification, who is he replacing?
Paul Collins.
Paul Collins is Mr. Wheeler's current membership
Got
on
it.
the Audit Advisory Committee.
Paul wants to be retired.
I currently don't have anyone, correct?
That is correct.
And
I'll have to work on that.
Well, I've got a couple questions on the committee assignments for us.
Well,
Do we have to vote on the
I'm
audit?
not sure what,
Yeah.
oh, we just. we're
Would you
doing
like to
just-
vote first on just the calendar?
I'll make a motion to approve the calendar submitted.
Motion by Mr. Wheeler with a second, I believe, by Mr. Wyshire to schedule regular meetings on, I'm sorry, Mr.
Discussion?
Soto.
Discussion? Is this new board reorganization rule for every year?
No, it is
Only
only for
election
election
year.
years.
Okay.
So we did verify that next year's proposed date for
Okay.
the board reorg will suffice with current statute.
Okay.
Thank you, though, for checking, Mr. Booth. So we have a motion by Mr. Wheeler with a second by Mr. Soto to schedule regular meetings on the first and third Tuesday of each month. I'll call for the question.
Aye.
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 Okay. Motion carried 5-0. Chairman Soto has declared the times and dates for regular meetings set as the first and third Tuesday of each month
That's what you
when he
just said
takes
to me.
office next week. Okay, and now you may have your discussion, committee assignments.
Okay, the committee assigned, for just, yeah.
Can are we done with audit, though? I mean,
I don't have an audit
what-
committee
Mr.
list.
Kelly was
The
another one we
list
were
is
gonna
not on
discuss.
there.
I don't know what I'm,
Only hours are here.
No, we just, I just had one.
Now, who
Now we're
serves
discussing
for-
committee assignments.
No, I don't mean our committee assignments. We had communicated about Jerry Kelly being reappointed to the audit committee as well.
That's not changing.
I was going to say, that's good, because
Do we not need to vote on that, though?
that's identified here as not changing, so it would, when you vote on the committee assignments, it would be a part of that piece.
You know, I think I added someone last time. I was served myself for a little while, and then I added someone not during this reorg meeting, and I think that is acceptable as well, or?
It is.
Okay.
That's what I would suggest with Mr. Soto's, Chairman Soto's nominee, is that we just hold on his and leave a spot until we decide what we want to do there.
Great.
Okay, I'm good. I just want to make sure
So
Mr.
the only
Kelly's
change for the audit
remaining.
committee would be Mr. Hart coming on in place of Mr. Collins.
Thank
And I would encourage all of you, if you get a chance to meet Shell Hart. He's a really good guy.
okay.
Well, go ahead.
I've got the Council on Aging, which I'm assigned to here.
I'll make a motion, you keep it.
Well, the problem I got is I have another meeting right after that, and I can't ever get there.
When are they, Clarence?
They're on Wednesdays, and it's either the first or third Wednesday. It's a Toho water
A
meeting. that I have at
meeting or
5.
afternoon, or?
It's at 4 o'clock, and I have a Toho water meeting on those same days at 5. Sorry,
Okay.
Just
At
a
what,
minute.
at what time?
4 o'clock, 4 to 5.
4 to 5 on Wednesday?
It's on a Wednesday.
So the
I
K-Dog?
think it's the 3rd, or I'm sorry, the 4th. We're first and third Tuesdays, right?
So you want
So
someone
it's
to
a
take
4.
that up? You want
Yes.
someone to take that from your hands?
Yes, if you'd be interested.
I don't know if anybody.
I'm
Yes,
fine.
you're interested in Kelvin.
Wait, but, okay.
We all
All right,
think
then I'll
you-
do it. I'll do it.
Okay. The other one is the
You
four,
don't do that one.
I'm not.
is that, it goes to the old guy?
I'm 3 years away from my card, so I'm good.
And the Four Corners Board, I would prefer not to
Well,
serve
it's
on that.
automatically Kelvin, because he's the chair,
Right.
and me. And then Ricky and Tim flip a coin, guys.
Yeah, Ricky can do it again.
All right, Ricky.
Actually, if I'm doing it, I'm going to propose that we,
Meet in Holopop.
no, well, I'm actually going to propose that we allow appointments to that board as
I
well.
believe we're heading towards doing that.
Okay.
So, yeah, we've already discussed it, and I just think we just haven't.
Well,
gotten
but
to
we
the
have,
point where
we have an
voted on it.
agreement with them right now
Yes.
in our bond agreement or something that says that we would serve, so we would have to amend that, is that?
Well,
Well,
I'm glad to take that board back on,
You can-
if it's not
Okay,
what you want.
yes.
I guess with you too, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I don't know how I feel about the whole appointment piece. That's a whole nother conversation, but I'll take that.
That was my way of getting.
I knew what you were doing.
No, not really.
No.
I actually agree because I think it's good to have some other folks serve.
All right, so I'll do Four Corners.
Okay.
So for clarification, you guys just.
It's Soto, Wheeler, Weishire for Four Corners.
Soto's doing council on
And
aging.
I think that should be an all-time
Yeah, good
3.
luck.
Yes.
Well, it depends who the chairman of the school, if you're the chairman of the school board, you got to do it. The chairman of the school board is automatically
Oh,
the
that's
chairman
right.
of the
Really
board.
want us to make appointments, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I like the appointments.
Yeah, whoever's the chairman of the school board, Rick, is automatically the chairman of that board.
Board,
Go ahead.
I would request, if it's all right with you, that I remain on the St. Cloud Chamber Board unless somebody really wants to.
No, I think it's good. And Board, I was going to say, I'd like to remain on mine with the exception of vocational advisory. I've done that for 4 years, and this last year I've had a really difficult time making to those meetings. I don't remember when they meet exactly because it's not frequently, but it seems like every time they meet, I'm already booked or scheduled or something, and I haven't been able to make the last couple. So that's the one I'd be happy to offer up to somebody.
Ms. Stefanowitz?
Do you know when they
Do
meet?
you know when the Vocational Advisory Board meets?
They never meet. This
That's how you should do it, you learn.
Yeah, that's the one I'm referencing.
Yep. Somebody else want to do that? I mean, I don't mind doing it. I mean, it's
Well,
right
tell
up
me,
my
tell me
alley,
what the,
but,
tell me what the time commitments are, what,
Yes.
It's like once a quarter for an hour.
and the next one is when?
December 8th.
Which is probably right during the middle of our workshop, legislative workshop.
It's the same date, but
Yeah.
let me get to my calendar.
I believe it starts at 8 a.m. and the legislative workshop starts at 9. So if someone could attend at 8, we could probably get you out a few minutes early.
There you go.
Since I dropped two, I'll take it.
Okay.
The Vocational Advisory
Advisory
Board.
will be Thacker.
Board, I do serve on the Education Foundation Board. I will continue to do so if you would like to. However, if somebody else wants that, I have no reservations.
When do they meet?
Well, I just had a meeting with Executive Director Mrs. Carr this morning concerning the meeting dates. They're changed to quarterly, but she and I both don't like that. They like to keep them monthly, although that means if I miss half the meetings, I still can get to about 6 meetings a year. Where if I miss half the meetings in the other time, I'm only getting to 2 meetings a year.
What do they mean?
Usually they'll meet in the morning, 7:45 at the office over there on Thursdays like this. I think what is it? It's the last Thursday of the month or the third Thursday?
I've done it twice already.
Yeah, if you, I've never done it. Sure, I'll do the.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
I don't gotta raise money for them, do I?
They do want you to raise money.
I've raised plenty of money for everybody. It's okay. I just raised money for half-penny sales tax. It's okay.
Hey, what if we just do this? Kelvin, do you want to stay on affirmative action? We good there?
I have no problems with that.
Okay.
Yes.
Audit's taken care of. Clarence, you want to stay there?
Yep.
And Kelvin, you're alternate?
Yes.
Yeah. Kelvin, you're a business advisor. You're good to stay there?
Oh, if you guys let me. I will.
Yes.
Yeah. Jay, you're still good with the coalition?
Yep.
Kelvin is alternate?
Yes,
Okay. Soto, you took Council on Aging.
I did.
You're on District Technology. You're good there?
I am.
Wheeler's on Foundation.
Yep.
Four Corners is myself, Wheeler, and Soto.
Correct.
St. Cloud Chamber, Booth. Kissimmee Osceola Chamber, Weishire. Wheeler, you were on National Advocacy. You want
Yep.
to remain?
Yep.
Okay. Health Advisory was Thacker. Good?
Yep.
State Legislative Liaison we need to do separately, I believe. And then, that's good. Okay, and the Vocational Advisory would be Thacker.
And value tax stays the same?
Oh, yeah, Value Adjustment Board would be myself. I'd like to remain there with Soto as an alternate.
By the way, Jack, Kathy, and Pam, he's acting very professional because you guys are here tonight, in case you're wondering.
Thank you for saving us 15 minutes of time.
I wanted to thank you. Yeah, well, what we've always done in Bella Lago and Flora Ridge is Migdalia. I'm fine with
Right,
leaving those the same.
She's not here tonight, so she has to stay.
Yeah, by default, she's in.
Tanya, can you please get me the schedule for the Education Foundation board meetings?
They don't know it for sure yet.
You can go online for
I
that,
didn't
by
a-
the way, too. They'll give you all that stuff.
You're assuming that I'll
All right, so we
remember.
got
and
'em all. Are we
organizational
done?
skills are that good.
Yes.
Make a motion to approve these school board committee assignments.
Second.
Motion carries 5.
Five
A
zero.
seat.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We're before.
Sir, you'll get a hold
Motion
of your-
carries 5-0.
hold
We
it-
stand
hold the
adjourned,
show.
everybody signify by getting up and leaving. You're done.
We need to make sure, typically, at the
What?
reorganization, we do need to deal with the legislative piece. We don't need to do that, you're saying, for sure? The legislative liaison for FSBA.
They were appointed
Oh.
in June of each year, so it's.
Oh, it did
SBA already
change.
did their, they
Yeah,
already
it
did their
changed
platform.
last cycle, okay.
That-
Just wanna
That's a
make
whole-
sure we
that's a
didn't
whole
miss it.
drama in itself.
I'm good.
Good catch.
Well done. Have a good night.
Mr. Chairman Thacker has said that it's adjourned, so we're done.
Just so everyone knows.